this tendency, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much. After this, Shri Kanak Medla, Ravindra Kumar ji.
Thank you, madam, for giving the opportunity.
2.5 minutes to all.
Principally, the bill adopts approach in its objective. First step is board representing the center and also state. By giving a greater autonomy to the board to make master plans, etc. But the problem is with the implementation of the bill is related to clause 2 of section 22, clause 3 of section 22 and clause 2 of section 25. Basically, it's literally taking away the involvement of the state government and other with the central government, and the board can give absolute powers to deal with the development of the project. With regard to the Visakhapatnam port, traffic share has been consistently declined from 2014 to 15. No infrastructure has been developed, and private ports like Krishnapatnam and other, it has been taken away by the Adani and other companies have taken. But in India, the rank has been declined from 35 to 44 in the year 2018, as per the report of the World Bank's Logistic Performance Index. The average output per day has also reduced 16,500 to 16,100 tons. It is a high time to develop the Visakhapatnam port by providing infrastructure and allocating the funds to the development of the Visakhapatnam port by giving a train connectivity and other further development to the Visakhapatnam airport. The another problem is Visakhapatnam port faces it 75% of the India's dangerous chemicals cargo, including ammonium nitrate, etc. There are 40,000 of tons of ammonium nitrate is waiting to enter into the port, which is 13 times about the what exploded in Meerut. I have already made the request. The honorable government, central government will take care of note it. Instead of developing private airports, the central government has to take it by giving the appropriate powers to the state government also, by considering the section 22, 23 and 25, and educating board also to be given priority to the state government. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member, for keeping in time. After this, Shri Anil Desai ji.
Thank you, Chair Madam. Major Port Authorities Bill 2020 has been brought into play, replaced the Major Port Trust Act 1963. The government claims that this legislation would be the biggest structural reform in the port sector, which aims to align the major ports with global standards. Chair Madam, I would go to the salient features of this bill, where the number of boards stand to reduce from earlier 17 to 19 to now 11 to 14. However, there will be 7 private members, it has been mentioned, and there won't be any proper representation to the employees. Secondly, the board is empowered to use the land, assets, property and funds as deemed fit for the port. The board has been given full freedom to create a master plan independently, unbound by the state or the local government regulations. The board is also empowered to make rules and regulations for development, operations and planning of the port smoothly. Board can raise loans from the banks without prior approval, except in cases where loan exceeds 50% of the capital reserves of the port. Chair Madam, going by the salient features of this bill, it is apprehended that the autonomy granted in the bill will make the major port a private entity, and corporates will play their way to the detriment of the overall health of the major ports, which are national assets. Today, major ports are regulated under the laws which ensure employment to the youth of India, whereby major ports address the unemployment issue. By privatizing the ports, the employment opportunities of OBCs, SC/STs and even general employees will be grossly affected. This fear has already caused a discontent against the legislation among the employees of the ports. Further, power given to the board. I just conclude in only one point I'm making. Yes. Power given to the board to use the land, assets, property and funds are deemed fit for the port may defeat the very purpose if not checked by evolving a scrutiny mechanism through government agency. And lastly, To create a master plan independently unbound by state and or local government regulation will certainly create issues, as the concerned major ports will become an independent planning authority in the city where the municipal corporation exists. In case of Mumbai and even my state, I'm saying. Because Mumbai Corporation of the city provides for all basic amenities like water, electricity, roads, and we should not forget that all lands were given to the ports by the state. And therefore, the obvious clash between these two authorities will create hurdle in the city's development, not only city's development. So the boards should be adhering to the state and local government regulations. I would urge upon the Honourable Minister, through you, Chair Madam, to consider these suggestions. They are